What I'm doing is I'm taking this little sign here that I had picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I did buy this back in October when they were having their Halloween stuff out. I'm going to use the back side of this sign, and I'm going to try and keep the front side of this as clean as possible because I do like this sign, and I would like to still use this at Halloween. So I'm hoping that they'll put these back out again this year, and then I can just buy me another one and I ain't got to worry about it. But anyway, so I am going to be doing this side. I did try and get the sticker off. I'm going to try and do a little bit more to get that off, and then if I can't, whatever's left, I'll probably just sand over. And then I'm going to paint this and distress it to make it look like real wood. And then after I do that, I'm just going to put some wall decals on it. Now, their wall decal section has a lot of variety of different sayings. And so you can just look through there and pick out something that you like that suits you. But I picked up the Pray More and Worry Less, and I am going to put that on my sign. Once I get it painted and everything and get these placed where I want it to go, I'm probably going to add some few embellishments, maybe some little swirls or something in the corners of these. I'm not really sure yet. You know, I do this, I learn as I go and decide as I go. I don't ever do one and then as a practice run, so we'll just have to wait and see how it turns out. But it's pretty simple. I may end up putting a glaze over it like Mod Podge or something like that. Again, I'll just have to wait and see. But the hard part is going to just be getting this paint on here to make it look like I want it to. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you how I do this. First, I'm going to start out by painting my board, and I am using white acrylic paint that I picked up at Walmart. You want to make sure you cover everything, and you also want to make sure to get the ends of your board as well as the sides, and then you'll just want to set that out and let that dry. I had just put one coat of paint on this sign, and I was going to put a second coat on there, but I think it actually looks better with just one coat. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like distressed areas, or it looks distressed from where it just didn't cover it completely, so I think I'm just going to leave it like it is. So what you see me doing here is I'm just drawing some lines with a pencil so the wood looks planked, and then I'm just going to take my eraser and go over it to smudge it a little bit. And I did not need to paint this, I just left it with the lead of the pencil, and it turned out really nice. So now I'm just going to take the stickers that I want to use, and I'm going to cut around them because I want to be able to place them before I stick them down to be able to determine where I want them to go on my board. And I am cutting them out as close as possible so that I can move those around. Now, I did have some other stickers that I decided that I wanted to use because I felt like that the board just needed a little something extra, and I also wanted to kind of like separate the two sayings. But once I got everything positioned, I just took the backing off and stuck the stickers down onto the board. It stuck really well, and I had actually decided that I was not going to Mod Podge this project because it looked fine just the way it was. And now I'm going to take some twine and wrap it around each end of the sign. I'm going to wrap it about 4 or 5 times, and I mainly decided to do this because I did want to cover up the 2 little holes that was already in the sign. I am just going to put a couple glue dots to secure this on the back, that way it stays put. And you can't see where that little hole is. It is covered up. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll be ready to put this on my wall. Okay, so since I do not want to put any kind of hooks or anything to hang this up with, I am going to have to use some kind of adhesive. And Command does have a Velcro adhesive that you can use to hang up things on your walls without having to put hooks and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to save my little sign here. Because I've got this twine up here, it's probably going to make it stand out a little bit too much for me to just put something flat on the surface. So I do need to have something to raise that up just a bit. And I think with the thickness of the Velcro strips along with this, it should raise it up enough to where it does make contact with my wall. And so I just took a large popsicle stick. You can get these at Walmart for, I think I didn't even pay $2 for a whole pack of these things, and they do cut really well. And I'm going to glue this down here with hot glue, and then I'm going to do it again on the other end, and then I'm going to attach my Command Velcro strips to this and stick it on my wall that way. So this next project that I'm going to do is really very easy. You could use any kind of wood that you wanted to. I just like this one because this already had a little hanger attached to it. But basically I'm just going to make a little laundry sign, and it was something that I saw when I was looking at that lakeside collection thing, and I thought it was really cute. Thought it was something I could make. They do still sell these at the Dollar Tree, so you could pick you up one of these if you want to, or you can just use any kind of piece of wood. But I am going to paint over this and stencil it up and show you how I'm going to, what I'm going to create out of this. Okay, and so I am going to take this hook off for right now, just because I am going to be painting over this and I don't want it to get in my way while I'm doing that. So I'm going to set that aside. And this paper does feel kind of thick on here. So I mean, I could probably paint over it, but even if I painted over it, I'm afraid that it might come off later. So I'm going to peel off as much of it as I can. Then I'm going to sand it down and paint over it. So I've got the, most of the paper is pulled off of this, and I did go over, I sanded it a little bit, and then I did go over it with just a little bit of Mod Podge, so that if there were any rough places on here that I couldn't get off, it would not show as much when I painted it. Okay, so the paint got really thick in some areas. I don't know if you can tell, but there's some, looks like little cracks where the paint's cracking on here. And it's probably not that big of a deal, but I'm going to sand this a little bit anyway, just to get some of that thickness off. And it's probably going to hopefully make it look a little bit better, look a little bit more stressed. I don't know if it had anything to do with the Mod Podge being under it or not. But anyway, so I'm just going to take some sandpaper and sand that a little bit. Now I'm ready to add the words, and all I did was just type this up in Word and then print it out. I'm going to cut this apart because I am going to place these on at 2 separate times. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm just kind of like lay it flat and get some color on the back of this. And then I'm going to turn it over and place it on this. And then I'm going to trace over these letters so that it transfers it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 words. As you can see there. All right, so I'm taking my little brush here and I'm going to go over it, and I am going to look at this just so that I can keep up with the font. So this is what it looked like after I painted it. I did have to go back around it with some white to touch it up, just because the paint tip on my brush was not as thin as I needed it to be. So this is what it looks like though. You can certainly use stickers if that's what you want to do. So now I'm just going to put this little piece back on. So I got this little jar here, and it's just a little cannon type jar, and I'm just going to take the lid off, put this back on, and all I'm going to do is just wrap a little bit of twine around this. What I'm going to do before that is I'm going to go ahead and make my little handle for my jar, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Now you can buy some of these little jars at Dollar Tree that's already got a handle on them. If you want to use that, that's fine too. But I'm just going to wrap this around this like this. And I want it to make sure this piece is the long piece because that's what's going to be my handle. And it's better to make it a little bit too long than not long enough. And I'm just going to tie a knot right here on the side, get it as tight as I can. And then this is where I'm going to move it over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it up underneath this side and tie it the same way. And I'm just going to take a pair of scissors so that I can get that under there and get that started. So basically I only really want this on this particular one to just be enough to just barely lift it up here, because I want it to hang fairly close to my sign. I just want to be able to lift it off so that I can dump out the change when I need to. Buttons, whatever it is I decide to keep in here. So I definitely do not want this piece to be very long. So I just pulled it through here, and now I'm going to tie it in a knot on this side. And now I'm just going to take my twine and just wrap it around the jar. And I will put a little bit of hot glue every so often, just so that it doesn't slip off of the jar.